to the Plus 972 podcast, your direct line to the journalists, thinkers, and activists struggling for justice in Israel-Palestine. I'm your host, Ghussoon Bsharat, editor-in-chief of Plus 972 magazine. Our podcast grounds the discussion in lived realities to bring you closer to the issues that matter most between the river and the sea. Before we start today's conversation, a quick reminder that what we do would not be possible without you, our readers and listeners. If you believe in our mission and would like to support our work, head over to 972mag.com/members and find out how to become a member of 972 or make a one-off contribution. For over 2 years, the devastation brought by Israel in the Gaza Strip has been reported from seemingly every angle. The destruction is total, the death toll staggering, but what about the loss you can't see, can't measure, and can't even confirm? Somewhere between 9,000 and 15,000 people are missing in Gaza. Those are the best estimates because Israel has systematically withheld information on those forcibly disappeared, made it nearly impossible to retrieve bodies buried under the rubble, and blocked access to the technology necessary for identifying much of these remains. For 8 months, Gazan journalist Mahmoud Mushtaha documented some of the stories of the missing, challenging every part of that system to show how people disappear and what disappearance actually means for the families still waiting for an answer as to the fate of their loved ones. His investigation, published last month, is a project of the Palestine Reporting Lab, produced in partnership with Wired and published in Arabic on Rasif 22. Mahmoud, thank you for joining me on the Plus 972 podcast.
Thank you for having me today.
At the heart of your investigation into the missing people of Gaza is a 16-year-old boy named Hassan al-Qatta, an autistic teenager who rode his bicycle out of his neighborhood one afternoon in April 2024 and never came back. He's not confirmed dead, he's not confirmed alive, he simply does not exist anywhere. How did you hear about Hassan's story?
I heard about Hassan even in the past, before Hassan have been disappeared, and the suffering of Abir with Hassan when he was born, when Israel banned him to get a treatment outside Gaza, and during looking and searching for answers to thousands of families in Gaza related to their beloved ones, the missing people. I checked with my friend, with my relatives about the missing, and if someone know anyone missing and would like to speak or to talk. And one of the cases I talked with and continued to follow up for almost 8 months was Abir's Cake, the mother of Hassan al-Qatta, who disappeared on April 15, 2024. And when I dig deep more with Abir and her family and the relation between Abir and Hassan, from this point I said, okay, I will focus on Hassan alongside other cases. Hassan case represents almost like about 14 to 15,000 of the missing.
And it's clear from your investigation how much time you spent talking to Abir and Ali, the parents of Hassan. Can you tell me more about what did they do since his disappearance 2 years ago?
So when I spoke to Abir and Ali about what they are doing or what they were looking the first time, like they are looking or searching in hospitals under rubble. They are looking among any child or any displaced children were displaced they visited. They were looking about the deceased body even or decomposed bodies in the hospital. And the trauma or the shock was to me when they were looking among the decomposed bodies, and they were looking for fragments, for anything related to Hassan, like teeth, like birthmarks, like anything could help them to identify their sons. And alongside all of this pain, they contact all organizations or human rights in Gaza or outside Gaza related to the missing, and no single institution answered them if he is alive or if he is dead, if he's in detention or if he's not.
In the case of Hassan, he left one afternoon on his bike and never came back. Some of the Gazas missing that you report on were taken from their homes during military raids. Others were last seen at checkpoints or approaching aid distribution sites. Some have vanished into formal or informal Israeli detention site, and some have been essentially evaporated by extreme heat, leaving no recoverable bodies. How can you start reporting on a story when so much is unknown and undocumented?
I try to document, to report what is happening because I experienced this. It's my own experience in Gaza. When I was in Gaza, I left Gaza in April 2024, so in the 6 months of the genocide. I still remember on the 21st of November 2023 in Ashujaiya neighborhood, where family of mine, the building where they were located, bombed by Israel, and around 70 persons, most of them children, were inside the building. I still remember when we went to check on them or to see what's happening to them or to the building, there are no bodies. You cannot see bodies. The bodies are burned and crushed under the building. And you cannot see anything and you don't know what to do. You cannot even think. You just see like a legs of man here, a hair here, a clothes here. You can see like one t-shirt with a blood and a small fragment, and that's it. I remember what we did when we buried them. We just like put a blanket on the ground and just like collect the fragments or the remaining or the burnt bodies. And we guessed or assumed like Ibrahim with his wife and 5 daughters, okay, just like put like weight 5 bodies and put in one blanket and close it and just bury it. Are these bodies really belong to Ibrahim and his family? We don't know. Because as I told you, the bodies are burnt, crushed. You cannot recognize. You can, like, if someone told us, like, it's belong to a human being, we can't believe because you cannot recognize by eye if it's to a human being or not. So, and this thousands of families having the same to them when they disappeared or missing in Gaza.
In your investigation, you say that the inability to identify bodies or assess if someone is missing or dead is not some unavoidable consequence of the war. And you show a series of specific documented decisions by the Israeli government, like blocking the entrance of forensic equipment, barring the Red Cross from accessing prisoners, withholding information on detainees. Why is that distinction so important?
It's so important to show that the answer for the missing, it's not impossible. We can find an answer. It is possible to find answer for the missing. But we have 2 reasons. The first reason is that Israel denied the ICRC and the human rights group to get access to Israeli detention, to get access to database of where the Palestinians are being held or who are the Palestinians that inside the detention. The ICRC told me since October 7 until now, almost about more than 2 years, Israel still banned them from entering or access to Palestinian detainees, which is in violation to international law or Geneva Convention. Other human rights groups, Israel started to give them access to detention after May 2025. And they still, until now, still denied some information of some Palestinian detainees have been hidden inside detention, and they told the organization that there is no indication. But later, the family figured out that their son have been killed inside the detention. The other reason to highlight more that the missing in Gaza, it is not impossible to answer. When I talked to the head of forensic department in Gaza about the missing, he told me like if Israel allowed forensic tools to enter into Gaza, we can identify the bodies. But what they are doing now is like recognized by eyes, by hands, by clothes. Israel banned these technologies to enter Gaza. And technologies include like DNA testing, genetic analysis. Even fingerprint and biometric scanners are not available in Gaza. And it's back like to 2007 when the blockade started in Gaza. There is no any DNA record in Gaza or no forensic equipment or any biometric or fingerprint records or database in Gaza. So even now it's not easy to compare. But what they suggested, the forensic department in Gaza, they suggested that if they could allow now to forensic tools to enter Gaza, they can compare between alive and dead. But it is denied from Israel. And even Israel is not allowing to human rights group or like to ICRC to handle the forensic tools in Gaza. And when they send the bodies to Gaza, the decomposing bodies to Gaza, is they send the body even like naked from clothes, naked from anything related to the body that can help the families or the Ministry of Health to know the body or to who this body belongs.
When a person simply does not exist on any record, that creates a situation of legal limbo for the family. What does that look like in everyday life?
Their daily life, they are not recognized, like there is no category for the missing and the same time for their families. So they cannot move, they cannot act, they cannot get access to food, they cannot get access to aid. For example, about the wives of the missing, they are not widow and they are not wives. And it caused like a big problem to them, especially for the wives. When I talked to human rights group about the women or wives of the missing in Gaza, they are exposed to exploitation. And some of them were exposed to sexual harassment. They don't have any guardianships, they don't have sponsorships, they don't have any kind of security. In the law and in the eyes of the people around her, she has a husband, but for her, she don't have a husband. And in the law, she cannot prove if she has a husband or she cannot. And the deep problem with the children, which is just emerged after October 7, we call them de facto orphans or yatim بحكم الواقع. And these children, they are not orphans and they don't have parents. They cannot prove to organization in the way that law recognizes that they are orphans. And it's affected thousands of families or thousands of children. And until now, institutions in Gaza cannot help them. The child supposed like to have a guardianship or sponsorship, but in Gaza they cannot. They cannot get inheritance. They can't get access to bank accounts. One of the wives told me that she and her husband were depending on the pensions. But when she tried to reach out to the bank again to get salary or pension, the bank denied. You need to bring your husband with you or bring a death of certificate. And the death of certificate is another legal issue that families cannot get it, the death of certificate. Because if you want to get a death of certificate at the Ministry of Health in Gaza now, you must bring two witnesses that they saw the body or witness that the body is killed or the person is killed. Gaza Authority offered a solution for the family to get a death of certificate after 6 months of the person disappeared, starting from October 2025 or from the ceasefire. But Authority in Ramallah rejected the new law, saying that the law in the Palestinian judiciary will still assess 4 years of the missing, not 6 months. But in terms of the missing, when we talk about the evaporated bodies or the bodies that were buried directly without any record, who can recognize or who can witness? And even to get a category that to recognize your beloved one, you can't get it. So you are still stuck. You are not a wife or you are not a husband. You are not alive, you are not dead.
And from speaking to so many families in this situation, Mahmoud, what does not knowing actually do to a person emotionally? To live without being able to grieve, without being able to move forward, without even being able to name what you have lost.
not knowing for the families, like mean, as they told me that they cannot continue their life. They are still stuck with the past on the day that their beloved one gone or missing or disappeared. And let me give you example with Abir's cake and her husband Ali. Hassan disappeared from At-Tufah neighborhood, which is now considering and the border on the yellow line in Gaza. Since when he disappeared, his family is still in their home and they refused to leave or to evacuate their area. And during the genocide, during the war, when they received this evacuation order to leave the area, and when the Israeli tanks approached the area, they refused to leave and they refused to move. And they were exposed to dangers, they were exposed to death because of Hassan, because they don't know anything about Hassan. And she said, like, and I'm quoting here, she said, like, if you want me to leave the area or if you want me to leave my land, bring my son, then I can leave. And you feel that what Israel is doing in Gaza implement the systems that the grave of your son, you cannot feel it. You cannot feel like the dignity that your son now, like he's in the heaven now, or he's like in a better place. For the killed, it's easy to kill like he is killed. Allah yarhamu. We can visit them in the graveyard. But for Hassan, there is nothing to remember him. Just what was left from photos, from some clothes, his room. And as I said, like for the thousands of families, it is like you are living in purgatory, you are living in a hell, you are living like there's even like you are not living because there is no life for the family of the missing. You cannot move, you cannot forget. And no single institution and no organization, even local organization or international organization, can help these families, and no authorities, governmental authority, humanitarian authorities, even international law or any big or any organization can help people to know.
There were other reports done and published on the missing people in Gaza. But one of the things that stood out for me in your investigation is the much higher estimate on the number of people missing. In your investigation, you say that 14,000 to 15,000 are missing. This is according to the polling done by the Institute for Social and Economic Progress, a Palestinian research group, while the Gaza Health Ministry says that the number is more than 9,500. The Palestinian Center for the Missing and Forcibly Displaced says its field estimates indicate around 9,000. Is this part of the tragedy, that no one really has accurate numbers?
Yes, it is. The scale of the missing reveals to us the institutional collapse in Gaza. No single institution has a complete number of the missing because of the situation, because the infrastructure in Gaza that have been destroyed by Israel. We are talking about genocide and still ongoing genocide for almost more than 2 years. If we want to count like how many are missing in Gaza, no one knows. When we did the poll with the ISAP or the Institute for Social and Economic Progress, it's estimate just 14 to 15,000, which is like the data built on survey done in Gaza by hundreds of families. And it's a good estimate. While we suggest or we assume like the number is higher than this, because more than 1 million Gazans are displaced. From my experience, when I talk to the families in Gaza, many of them, until now, they cannot report their organization because of the internet, the media blackout, because of the infrastructure in Gaza, because of the displacement. People keep moving from place to other place, from place to other place. So even the 15 or the 14 to 15 is still estimate, and it's not the last number or the accurate number. Even when we compare to the Ministry of Health, the rest of the Ministry of Health include the missing, even who the missing in detention or the missing who with that people don't know anything, or the missing under rubble. But our estimation just for the missing, not for people under rubble. And at the same times, when when we look from wide perspective about the crisis of the missing in Gaza, we are talking almost after more than 2 years of ongoing genocide, and there is no one list of the missing in Gaza. They are people. The missing. They are people. They are human. The thousands behind these numbers are still alive and looking for arson to their sons, to their daughter, to their parents, where they are. So when we say like that, there are no less to feel that the 1,000 or the 15,000 just collapsed, just finished without anything. So one of our proposed idea is trying to help with creating a database for the missing, to know who is missing in Gaza and list their names.
This uncertainty that you described, or life in limbo, is not just experienced by families like Hassan's, but all Gazans. There is no way of knowing if their neighborhood will be bombed tomorrow, no guarantee there will be food to purchase, or if they can even afford it. What is all of that doing to the social fabrics, to families, to relationships?
Destroyed. When we look at how the ongoing genocide shaped the people and shaped the daily lives of Gazan or Palestinian in terms of looking for food, looking for the missing, looking for the injured, and each one just was forced to care about themselves, about the bread, about the food, about the simple daily lives that was not before October 7, but after October 7, all it changed. I remember, like, I experienced, for example, the starvation in Gaza. I'm still thinking when I see now, like, clean water. I compare to the situation in Gaza. I remember when has just like 1 liter of clean water, like, will keep it to himself. Or it's like selfish, but the selfish was designed and built from Israel to destroy the social fabric, to destroy the society. Because before October 7 was not the situation. People were generous, people were living in dignity, were living in good life. So it was a blockade and siege on Gaza, but there was a good social fabric. People were connected. But after October 7, what happens to Gaza, no one can imagine and no one can beat it. When we talk about Abir, for example, and what Abir passed through and what Abir experienced during the genocide, it totally destroyed and reshaped the person and how the person is talking to the people. For example, Abir told me, like, anyone told her that imagine Hassan is killed, she cut his relation with him. She said no, and like no longer to speak with him again. And this, like, for all the daily lives, for all the families in Gaza.
Mahmoud, you mentioned earlier in our conversation that you left Gaza 2 years ago after spending 6 months covering the genocide while living it as well. You are now in London, physically out of Gaza. Back when you left, you wrote an incredibly powerful piece for Plus 972 describing your exit from Gaza, and you concluded by saying, "But emotionally, I am still trapped in the war." Talking to you now, I feel that you are still trapped in the war, that you are still in Gaza, although you are physically out, you're in London. How do you actually feel?
How I can forget, how I can start a new life, how I was born and raised in Gaza. I lived 23 years under siege, under blockade, under repetitive war in Gaza. Well, and it was ended by 6 months of ongoing genocide. How can I imagine that I'm living in London, I'm living in with 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 luxury people or luxury life in London where everything here is available, while my family is still in Gaza, my friends is still in Gaza, and what I experienced in Gaza, like, I cannot forget it. I cannot describe the feeling of living outside Gaza while emotionally I am still in Gaza. Until now, when I talk to my family, I try to be careful about what is in my background, what to tell them and what not to tell them. You feel that you are still stuck with with the people, you are still stuck with the situations. And even when I left Gaza, I said, okay, I will change my career, switch to other career, to work in other area, not to be stuck with journalism. But honestly, I cannot. The reportage about the missing or the families, like even like it changed my perspective, changed my focus in my job or in my work. Literally, it changed it like 100%. Now I feel that I am committed to the families. I am committed to Apir. I am committed to find an answer where is Hassan or where is the other family or the Samson's family are missing. Because until now, still Abir messaging me and other messaging me. Is there any update? Is there any new information? Did anyone reply to you? So I can't imagine me as a person who are living now in safety and to leave the situation in Gaza as it doesn't belong to me. I cannot.
Thank you, Mahmoud, for talking to me. Thank you for your time. I invite all our listeners to read your investigation about the missing people in Gaza, which we will add in the show notes, and also read all your vital reporting, analysis, and op-eds on the Plus 972 magazine website. Thank you, Mahmoud.
Thank you, Son.